At this time, I would like to ask Mr. David Black to please come forward to open the November 7th meeting of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Good evening, Mr. Black. What is the mic? There's the mic. Use that mic, yes.
Mic check.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is David Black. I am a senior at BOE High School and the current Student Government Association president. I currently participate in Student Government Association activities as well as the National Honor Society. I've taken many honors courses over my 4-year tenure at BOE High School, including my favorite, government. I have been able to maintain a GPA of a 3.7. I enjoy giving my time and effort to participate in activities that raises the morale of my school community. My long-term goal is to become a business leader. I am a proud senior at BOE High School and I'm ready for college. Now, I want to welcome you to the November 7th, 2019 Prince George's County Board of Education meeting. Highlights this evening will include the news break, Robotic Recruiter, featuring Code E, the robot's visits to Charles Flowers High School. Additionally, under new business, the Board of Education will address the boundary and grade structure improvement for the school year 2020 through 2021. Please continue to check www.pgcps.org for upcoming Board of Education meetings and events. And now the November 7, 2019 Board of Education meeting will begin.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank Mr. Black on behalf of the board for his introduction of our meeting. Before we formally begin our meeting, I'd like to ask everyone to turn off your wireless communication devices as they may interfere with our proceedings this evening. I would now like to ask Mr. Omalola to lead us in our board's prayer and the pledge.
Let's rise.
O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all education policies, being ever mindful of your guidance. Steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Ms. King and Ms. Ellis, and thank you, Ms. King, and the staff for preparing for our meeting this evening. Ms. Ellis, would you please now call the roll?
Good evening, all. Ms. Ahmed.
Here.
Ms. Boozer-Strother.
Here.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Montero.
Here.
Mr. Murray.
Here.
Mr. Omalola.
Here.
Ms. Queen.
Present.
Mrs. Shepard.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Valentine. Mr. Wallace.
Present.
Mrs. Williams.
Present.
And Dr. Thornton.
Present. May I now have a motion to adopt the minutes from our November 7th board meeting? It's been properly moved and seconded that the minutes from our November 7th meeting unmodified be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. Colleagues, a motion to approve the minutes from our October 24th board meeting. Is there a second? It's been properly moved and seconded that the minutes of our October 24th board meeting unmodified be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. We will now move to a news break entitled Robotic Recruiter, featuring Cody, Robotic Visit to Charles Flowers School.
I can't walk, but I can dance.
Dance, dance, dance.
Are you sure?
Yes. Positive.
Not only could Cody the robot dance, it could high five, change its eyes from looking happy to horrific, and it broke into song, answering the question, how does a robot blush? Do you sing?
I do. I love to sing and dance.
Can you give us a little tune?
Sure.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
That's my favorite.
So, yeah, you sound almost as good as Gene Kelly did in that movie, Singing in the Rain. Now, do you...
Oh, you're making me blush.
Look at those eyes.
As part of a countrywide tour to promote digital literacy and careers in the STEM subjects, Cody visited Charles Flowers High School recently, and not just by chance. Flowers graduate Takur Njang, now working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, Cody's owner, honored her alma mater by bringing home her mechanized friend.
So do you consider Cody a friend?
Definitely consider Cody a friend. I mean, he's a $320 million investment from PwC to go to underrepresented communities across the nation. So he's a great friend. I went the Academy of Finance track, so I did accounting, economics, and business. So that's working at PwC. I continued in that line. But we definitely did not have drones. We did not have Cody or any virtual reality. So it's really cool to see the progression of technology and seeing this here.
And speaking of friends, Cody has none better than its handler, Zach Seekins.
So are you his best buddy? Are you BFFs?
I'd like to think so, yeah. We travel around a lot and we work together a lot, and yes, I do think we're like close friends. So Cody was engineered about 2 years ago in Cornwall, England, and the company PwC bought it for this purpose to outreach communities and schools, outreach communities, conferences and stuff like that, to just show the technology for the next 20 years. So Cody actually is in 4 different parts. So you see it all put together like this, but it actually gets taken apart, and it takes about 30 minutes to build and take it back down.
When it came to answering the students' questions, Cody proved to be remarkably human, admitting it isn't a know-it-all and that it learned some new slang from the Flowers kids.
What's your impression of our kids?
They're all so smart and lively and really curious. And they taught me some hip new words, so that'll be fun for me to use as I continue to travel.
What are some of the hip new words?
Well, drip apparently is a thing now, and it basically means you're cool. So that was nice of them to say I had drip.
Cody, how many resistors do you take?
How many what?
Resistors.
How many resistors do I take?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer.
But there was no question Cody made a huge impression on everyone with its motivational message.
Well, I hope that people all over the country can see themselves in technology and get really excited about the positive change that it can create in their communities and in the world at large.
Did you get a chance to interact with Cody?
I did.
And what was that like?
I loved it. One thing I love about Cody and the fact that they're here is that they're exposing all of our students to the endless possibilities that the STEM program can allow them to go into. I actually like to see things like this because it shows not only myself but other people that the STEM program isn't a very boring field of careers, and seeing these things actually allows us to explore the different ventures that they have, and it's actually a pretty fun, cool thing.
Cody could be an amazing assistant. To know that this is what the future has available to us and that our current students have the opportunity to build their own Cody is phenomenal. And to know that there's programming done, but that over time, Cody becomes so intuitive on the questions and responses that they become part of Cody's memory. And I can tell you over time, you know, we could watch cartoons back when we were growing up, and there were cartoons similar to this, but to be able to interact with a tool that was just created in 2 years, that now can really have conversations with adults and that are really created by students such as the ones in our science and technology program or our Academy of Finance is amazing. Yes, actually, Cody's a great role model for me as well. I'm going to go back and talk to Cody about time management and a way to manage a calendar and events.
In an auditorium filled with students flying drones, others wearing virtual reality goggles, and all besotted with a robot that even remembered their names, it was obvious that STEM careers, if they weren't before, are now totally drip.
What's this drip business?
So, it's actually something new to myself, but you know, when the time moves with the words, you gotta get on the bandwagon.
So, give Cody a hand. And another for all those students who will soon be making gender-neutral siblings for their new found friend. This is Dave Zarin reporting.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Colleagues, if you would join with me in a moment of silence, I'd ask that you join me in honoring the memory of Robert Folger, stepfather of Miss Melissa Covington, who's the Chief of School Support and Leadership Office. Ask you to keep Miss Covington's family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you very much. A few highlights that I'll mention, and I'm sure that our CEO, Dr. Golson, might build upon them. I want to say that how much we appreciated Dr. Golson, the Family Institute, which was held this past weekend at the Oxon Hill High School. I was able to attend along with several other board members. I want to thank Dr. Jackson and her staff for the work that they did in organizing it. Just a great coming together of the Office of the County Executive and this school board and your office, Dr. Golson, for a family engagement. It was well attended, and we had a powerful speaker for the event. Following that, yesterday was a great event in the history of Prince George's County in the state of Maryland. Mr. Burrows and I joined Dr. Golson at one of our schools, Forest Heights, which is a challenge school that is very old and inappropriate for our children. And to see the leadership of our state, General Assembly leadership led by the President of the Senate, Senator Miller, and the designee President, Senator Ferguson, along with the Speaker of the House, Speaker Jones, to be assembled with our delegates and our senators to signal their unwavering support for the Build to Learn initiative, which will move forward next spring in the General Assembly. I've been around for a long time, and I've not seen this display of integrated leadership endorsement of this major concept. And to have them in the presence of one of our oldest schools to symbolize to all people the urgency of this matter was so critically important. Our President's comments were very powerful. The comments followed by the Chair of the Appropriations Committee, Delegate McIntosh, very powerful. Our County Executive's comments, very powerful. So we have reason to be encouraged, colleagues, those of us who, at every board meeting almost, the parents ask for modern schools for our children. There's reason to be encouraged. I was also very encouraged, as I'm sure our Vice Chair was and Dr. Golson, with their commitment to the blueprint for Maryland's future. It was just so encouraging to us to hear them say, we're going to get this done. There'll be challenges. The people of Prince George's County know there'll be challenges in terms of how we fund it, but we're going to get it done. And to hear our President say that, and our speakers say that, and our delegates and senators say that, it was so encouraging. So board colleagues, feel empowered by that. Let us do our job, educate the public, take every opportunity we can to speak to them about these issues, educate them, calm their fears about those who are trying to stampede us, because we now know we have the leadership who's out front on this particular question. So I'm just encouraged. There are some upcoming meetings that I would like to announce to the public. The November 11th is our Policy and Governance Committee meeting, which is chaired by Ms. Ahmed and vice chaired by Ms. Booza Struther. Will be meeting because I'm a member of that committee. And then on November 12th, we'll have a public boundary hearing to hear the comments from the community regarding some of the boundary concepts that Dr. Golson is proposing. On November 14th, our Academic Achievement Committee, which is chaired by Mr. Montero and vice chaired by Ms. Williams, will be meeting. And then our very active Operations, Budget, and Finance Affairs Committee, Mr. Wallace, will be meeting with Mr. Wallace, who's the leader of that committee. And then we'll have another board meeting on the 21st of November. All of our board meetings, as the public knows, held here in the Sasscer building, and we encourage you to please sign up to speak to the board with your concerns. I'll now turn to our Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Golson, for your report.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
On Tuesday, we wrapped up the last listening session with the community, which was held at Fairmont Heights High School. During each of the sessions, I revisited the common issues from last year
and discuss our progress this year. As you might expect, school bus transportation challenges remain at the top of the list. This month, we're launching a 23-member transportation task force to develop short-term and long-term recommendations for our persistent challenges with on-time arrival. The task force membership includes parents, a Board of Education member, school system staff, and county government and union representatives. The group will meet monthly from now through March 2020. The goal of the task force is to provide me with recommendations to improve both arrival and departure times, bus driver recruitment and retention, and changes to routes, hubs, and school start times for the next academic year that will help to improve Prince George's County Public Schools transportation issues. I've requested an interim report in January to see what recommendations, if any, can be implemented sooner with limited disruption to families. That information will be presented to the Board of Education once it is received. Transportation staff continue to work diligently to improve service by handling individual concerns and making adjustments when possible, so I do want to thank them. We are aggressively recruiting new drivers through a series of bus driver job fairs that will be held every other week through the end of the year. I thank you for your support and patience throughout this process and apologize for the inconvenience to our students and families. Earlier this week, I held a listening session for employees through a teletown hall format. More than 2,700 employees participated. Common questions and concerns focused on support staff compensation, substitute compensation and support, mentoring and support for new teachers, and teacher professional development. As shared by our chair of the Board of Education, we had an amazing press conference yesterday at Forest Heights Elementary School, which is one of the locations where we had to move students early in the year due to our aging facility infrastructure. I left yesterday feeling very optimistic about the future for Prince George's County Public Schools, our ability to honestly begin to transform schools and create more modernized schools faster than we have ever been able to do before. The ability to build 18 schools in 7 years will be historic. It typically takes us 7 years to build one. And so I am extremely pleased that we have the support of our elected officials around the state and that we have the ability to be able to participate and receive funds that will help us to move forward. But what was extremely important yesterday was the need for our elected officials to share that the building fund is just as important as Kerwin funding, and that they will be pushing for both funds to be able to support not only what takes place outside the school, but also what takes place inside. So thank you to them. As a reminder to our community, the deadline to apply for our specialty programs is November 15th. Please note the deadline to apply to the Creative and Performing Arts and the International Baccalaureate programs has been extended to December 1st. Charter school applications are currently being accepted online through January 25th. Please visit our website for more information. This Saturday, you can join the technology training team for our annual Powering Up Technology Conference, which is amazing. Community members are welcome to attend to learn how the latest technology is being integrated into instruction. Registration is required. We are still accepting registration, so please visit our website for details. On November 11th, we will host system-wide parent-teacher conferences for families to learn more about their child's academic performance and how they can support their learning at home. Please note that schools are closed for students only on Monday, that staff will be present. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Golson, for your report. And I was remiss in not thanking, on behalf of the board, the County Council for permitting me to provide a briefing on Kerwin. All council members were present, very attentive, and we had a very extensive, long, engaging discussion of the blueprint for Maryland's future. Another level, Dr. Golson, of the signaling of leadership endorsement of this concept. And we just want to thank all of our leaders, the County Council and General Assembly and the County Executive for their embracing of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future initiative. We have 7 speakers that have signed up to speak. I would ask you to please adhere to the guidelines that were given to you as you signed up regarding length and the manner of your speaking. The first speaker is Rayana Williams, student at Eleanor Roosevelt School. Is she here? I don't see her, so I'll now move to Anaya Stevenson, who's a student at the Phyllis E. Williams Spanish Immersion School. Anaya is coming forward.
Hola, mi nombre es Anaya Stevenson. Soy un estudiante de quinto grado en la escuela primaria Phyllis E. Williams. Tengo algunos problemas con mi encuentro en mi clase. En mi salón de clase es imposible aprender. Entro en el salón de clases y los maestros están luchando para mantener la clase. Siempre es un estallido. Hay niños que gritan e incluso le dicen palabras irrespetuosas al maestro. Debido al comportamiento de otros niños, no quitan nuestros puntos. No es justo que las personas que vienen a la escuela a aprender y obtienen buenas calificaciones. No deberíamos tener que tomar tiempo de nuestro tiempo para lidiar con tontos como este. Somos estudiantes de quinto grado, que este debe parar. Me alegro por el buen profesor que tengo que ayudar a los estudiantes que quieren aprender en el aula. Siento que estoy perdiendo instrucción en español, estudios sociales, matemáticas y inglés. En esas clases me falta tiempo de instrucción debido a argumentos, peleas, falta de respeto y otras erupciones. Mi clase es tan destruida que los maestros tienen que alzar la voz para llamar la atención de las clases, pero una resolución para poder aprobar al máximo del quinto grado. Gracias por tu tiempo. Hello, my name is Anaya Stevenson. I'm a fifth grader at Phyllis E. Williams Elementary. I have a few issues with my environment in my classroom. In my classroom, it is impossible to learn. I walk into the classroom and the teachers are struggling to even handle the class. It is always an outburst. There are children that yell and even say disrespectful words to the teacher. Because of the other kids' behavior, we get our points taken away. It is not fair for the people who come to school to learn and get good grades. We should not have to take time from our time to deal with foolishness like this. We are fifth graders. This needs to stop. I'm glad for the good teachers that I have that help students that want to learn in the classroom. I feel like I'm losing instruction in Spanish, social studies, math, and English. In these classes, I'm missing instruction time because of arguments, fights, disrespect, and other disruptions. My class is so disruptive, the teachers have to raise their voice to get the class attention. I'm hoping for a resolution so that I can get the most out of fifth grade. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Gracious. The next speaker is Nadia Hassan, Individual Young Leaders Institute. Holiday school closures. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Dr. Goldson, it's nice to see you again. Yes, so my name is Nadia Hassan. I am the Executive Director of Young Leaders Institute. I was also recently appointed by Hogan to the Governor's Ethnic Commission. And most importantly, I am a parent of a high school daughter who goes to Eleanor Roosevelt High School. And I've been a resident of Greenbelt since 2003. And after 9/11, the Muslim community across the country has experienced much discrimination, hate crimes, hate speeches, violent attacks, and in an attempt to try to promote multiculturalism and interreligious harmony and cooperation amongst the youth of different faith groups, I started this nonprofit organization that's called Young Leaders Institute in order to promote understanding and to reduce the level of fear that exists within this toxic environment that we are currently living in. And so I just wanted to bring up the issue of school closures because one of the things that my daughter's friends, when they come over, often say is that how come we don't know a lot about your faith? How come we don't hear about Islam? How come we don't celebrate the holidays? How come we don't, it's just a lot of ignorance around it. And so I try my best to to create the spaces where young people can come together and talk about these differences in order to promote collaboration and cohesion. And so I want to just ask the Board of Education today to please consider the Eid holidays when you're computing the school calendar, because it's really vital. I believe it's truly vital to the overall health of young people today, and in promoting that understanding that they currently don't have. And I would really, this would be a great attempt in trying to even the playing field, because in the past we've been able to celebrate other faiths, and in the good faith, or the sense of wanting to promote more diversity, and especially since there's so many more Muslim students, there's an increase in the number of Muslim students in Prince George's County schools. I'd like to see that, I'd like to see that even playing field for all students and all young people of all faiths. So that's my request.
Thank you so much for your comments. The next speaker is Jamel Alamin Johnson, individual Eid holidays.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Chairman Thornton, Vice Chair Burrows, and all the honored members of the Board of Education, and specifically CEO Goldson. My name is Jamil Alam Johnson, and I am the president of the Prince George's County Muslim Council. Last May, prior to the month of Ramadan, I came before you to support and thank you for passing the Ramadan resolution advocated for by member Rahila Ahmed and supported by many members of the board. Again, I thank you for acknowledging the growing number of Muslim students, teachers, and other staff that populate the Prince George's County school system. On that same day, I also asked you to consider adding the Eid holidays to the calendar. I come before you today to reiterate that request. I am not unaware of the restraints that have been put on the school calendar since Governor Hogan restricted the school calendar to begin post-Labor Day while still ending in mid-June. When you add to that the unpredictable weather closings, the number of days available for education must be paramount. However, the importance of acknowledging religious diversity and otherwise should also be paramount in the education of our children. When you consider the increase in the number of hate crimes, particularly targeted toward the Muslim and Jewish communities in the past 3 years, not a coincidence, even in a liberal state like Maryland, the acknowledgement of the equality of the legitimacy of all faiths must be emphasized in the education of our youth. Prince George's County Muslim Council was able to sponsor a community forum last night with Dr. Goldson, something we greatly appreciated, where we discussed this issue amongst other subjects. When we are aware of the fact that even the traditional Christmas break is now being renamed winter break, however, arose by any other name. You get my point. The break isn't being moved to January, right? We support the maintenance of the Jewish holidays as days of closure and request that you add what would right now be only one Muslim holiday to the calendar. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the United States, and the DMV is one of the country's greatest areas of Muslim concentration. We appreciate the fact that the holidays appear on the calendar and that the students are provided an excused absence. However, as a parent to 3 former PGCPS students at one of the best high schools in the state, Eleanor Roosevelt, I remember still needing to take my daughter to school after the morning prayer for her to pick up some work. In regard to the respect for diversity, what student wouldn't want to have a day off and be thankful to the Muslim and Jewish communities for it? Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Yusuf Khan, as an individual, 8 school closings. Don't see, nope. The next speaker then is Ms. Teresa Mitchell-Dudley, president of PGCEA, regarding community schools, and I don't see Ms. Dudley. And our final speaker is Farron McMillan, individuals, regarding schools, and I don't see that individual. So that exhausts our speakers list. And now, colleagues, we will move to our consent agenda. Dr. Golson, I will now turn the floor to you for an introduction of item 4.1.
Thank you. Items 4.1 requires board approval of a proclamation commemorating Computer Science Education Week, December 9th through 13th, 2019.
Is there a motion for discussion? It's been properly moved and seconded that item 4.1 be approved. Is there a discussion? Mr. Wallace, I see your light.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question to the administration regarding the topic of coding or computer programming language courses. Is there any possibility, I know there was some state legislation proposed last year, of having coding seen or deemed a foreign language course for our students in secondary schools?
So, no, we haven't pursued looking at it as a foreign language credit. What we have been issued from Maryland State Department of Education is to create a plan to begin to add coding to our curriculum starting in elementary and then progressing through middle and high.
Thank you so much. I yield back.
Thank you. And colleagues, the vote is on the motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposing, no. Let the record reflect unanimous support. We'll move now to budget consent item 5.1 through 5.12, with one item being pulled, 5.3. So a motion is in order with all exception of 5.3.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded that items 5.1 through 5.12 be approved. Dr. Golson, do you have introductory comments?
Yes, items 5.1, 5.2, and then 5.4 through 5.12 requires board approval of the expenditure requirements for December 2019 and January 2020 for final acceptance and payment for projects at Beacon Heights Elementary School, Heather Hills Elementary School, Crossan High School, Friendly High School, High Point High School, and Kettering Middle School.
Thank you, colleagues. The vote is on 5, with all the 5s with the exception of 5.3, which we'll discuss. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. Ms. Ahmed will have a motion regarding 5.3 and discussion. Properly moved and seconded that 5.3 be approved, and I'll now call on Ms. Ahmed.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. I just had a couple of questions on 5.3. According to the board action summary, it shows that we're going to be over budget if we approve this contract. Where are we going to get the money to cover the extra costs?
I'm sorry, could you clarify where we're over budget here?
Sure. So I'm looking at it, and it's showing in the abstract and highlights a grand total of $37.3 million. But then the budget implications show $38.5 million. So.
Yes. So the difference there is the interest charged. So the real amount, what we're doing is getting this money up front in the $37.3 million level, and with the interest we'll be paying back over the next 5 fiscal years. It'll be at 38.5 total, which for the first year was within what we have budgeted. And then we will build that this payment into future year budgets.
Okay, so it's in budget for this year, and you're going to plan for the future for it to be in budget. Okay.
Yes.
And then I saw for the other items that we've just approved, a lot of those change orders reflect cost savings, and I want to thank the CIP team and the CFO team for that, because I come up here and I criticize how we have, whenever we have change orders that have more financial implications, and to see a docket where we're literally saving. I really appreciate that. I just wonder, can you give us an idea when we have those types of savings, where do those tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings go?
An example would be unforeseen project like Forest Heights Elementary School that's going to cost us up to $1 million for the structural repair that we must do from the structural damage we noticed from the window replacement and front door replacement that was not budgeted for.
That's great. I'm very hopeful that you're using those funds wisely then. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, we have no non-consent agenda items. We'll now move to items 7, 1, and I do need to vote on the motion, don't I? Those in favor, please say aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. There were no objections to that. We'll now move to governance, second reader, unfinished business, items 7.1 and 7.2. That comes from Mr. Wallace's committee. There is no second needed and no discussion. Mr. Wallace, you want to make any comments before we vote?
No, sir.
Okay.
Not on this one.
Ms. Ahmed, I saw your light. Is that on this motion? Okay, very good. No, not on this one. She didn't want. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. We'll now move to item 7.2, which is the focus work group. Mr. Wallace, I understand you have an amendment to this motion. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I emailed the entire board earlier today around 2 o'clock with a document that I thank Ms. King for printing, or board staff for printing and making available to you all. What it does is revise page, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, page 3, the first resolve clause, and changes the makeup of the members that will be serving on this focus work group. Changes from 4 board members to 3, 2 administrative staff members from 3, and it keeps the same recommended representative levels for SEIU Local 400 and AFSCME Local 2250.
Okay.
I'm going to move approval.
Colleagues, we want to, that's a motion to amend the original motion. Is there a second? It's been properly moved and seconded that the motion be amended. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposing, is there a comment, Ms. Ahmed?
No, I just wanted to thank Mr. Wallace for taking these comments that I had at the previous board meeting into account in presenting this. For those of you that were not at the last board meeting, I had requested that the number of administrators on the task force be even to the number of union labor partners on the task force, and so I want to thank Mr. Wallace for making that adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, the main motion has now been amended as indicated, and the vote is now on the main motion as amended. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for that, and your committee members for that work. The committee members for that work. We'll now move to new business, first reader. Dr. Golson, please.
Item 8.1 requires board approval as a first reader.
Is there a motion? It's probably moved and seconded that the boundary program and grade structure improvements be approved as a first reader. Hearing no discussion, those in favor, please say aye. Those opposing, no. The ayes have it.
Abstain.
I'm sorry. Call the roll.
Point of order, I think Ms. King
Someone
has
wanted to
discussion
discuss?
point. Or Ms.
Who wants to discuss? We're good? You're good. Okay. You just up one abstention? Okay. Ms. King, all voting yes with one abstention coming from the vice chair. All right. We now have a point of personal privilege as we move quickly through our agenda, and I'm feeling good about that. Mr. Omalola.
Dr. Golson, Dr. Golson and Dr. Thorne, I just wanted to thank you for your service to making sure that we're increasing the infrastructure that we're building in the school system. Yesterday, Dr. Thorne had an opportunity to speak with students at Parkdale High School about the current commission, and they saw how passionate you were about our Maryland history and how aggressively you've been fighting all over in the 90s to make sure that we got better school. Say it again? Okay. So we want to thank you for all your service, and we're so proud as a school system and as students that you're our board chair.
Let me say this in all seriousness. Let me just say this. It's not a personal plug, but I just thoroughly enjoyed last night. These were the student leaders from our high school and middle schools, and those kids sat there for a long time just listening and discussing and engaging. It just warmed my heart, right? There's an old man. So thank you for organizing it. But it was very emotional for me. What I would ask board members to do, if you would, let's do this as much as you can. Find ways to engage small groups around the blueprint. Please, let's do that aggressively, because we have our state leadership with us now, and let's, in our own way, do this. So thank you all. Motion is in order, well, let me just see. Motion is in order to
So
approve
moved.
items taken in executive session.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the items taken in executive session regarding legal matters, personnel matters, CEO report from the executive director be approved. Those in favor, please
So
say
moved.
aye.
Oh,
Those
aye.
opposing, no. The ayes have it. A motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposing, no. The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's a record.
1990.